It always strikes me that as a society we should be aware that violence begets violence, and we are in the UK very like America and we follow in their footsteps, but the one thing that we are is nowhere near as violent. It is very easy to forget that the USA is an ultra-violent country. I put a comment, Max Foster, the journalist, reported on the execution in Alabama, which is nauseating. They suffocated a man to death for 22 minutes. The murder, and I just put the death penalty is disgusting, and I believe that it is. I believe that the death penalty is always wrong, always wrong. It is amazing how many people just say, well, he deserved it. And violence begets violence, and if all you're ever trying to do is scrabble to get even, that's what you get. No, I think the death penalty is always, always wrong. Firstly, because Again, I would repeat, if we take the emotion out of it, we look at justice systems like Sweden and Norway, where they truly believe in reparation, retribution, rehabilitation, where they look after prisoners. You just look at the reoffending rates go down, because ultimately, once somebody has been killed, they've been killed. There's nothing you can do, nothing in the world that you can do to bring a murdered person back to life. They are dead. But if the person who killed them can go on to pay in some small manner back to society for the terrible wrong that they have done, that they learn to grasp, that they understand, because they might not at the time, they understand that they have done society the most terrible grievance and make effort to repay and never do it again, then at least that person won't be followed by another person and another person and another person. And if that person is the kind of man who enjoys repeatedly killing people for pleasure, then we should treat them like we would treat an animal that is, and we shouldn't put dogs down like that either. We should put them somewhere safe and look after them in a manner where they can hurt nobody else. And we should make sure that it is understood that they should be treated with kindness, gentleness and humanity, but they are not safe to be with other people. And the reason that we don't we allow the victims of criminals to speak so that the jury and the judge can understand the impact that the crime has had on them, and that they can take that in regard to their sentences so they have a voice. But we don't let them decide, because emotion isn't the way to do it. This is a justice system. It's a justice system for society at large. It's not just about you. You know, if your child comes back and says, I was hit, you know, what do? If this is like saying, oh, well, you know, my toddler went to school and they punched another child and the other child punched them. So then they went in the next day and they smacked them around the head with a frying pan, and the other kid walloped them with a chair, because after all, that's what you're saying. And then your child went in and picked up a table and spun them across the thing with the table and smacked them in the wall, so the teacher hit them with a baseball bat. That's not justice, is it? That doesn't do anything. It might be technically getting even, but it didn't do anything. So, yeah, I don't think the death penalty is right, ever. And when you look at societies, remember, violence does beget violence. And when you are looking at a society, and how to run and deal with a society, the first place to start is, what would you like the society in which you live to look like? And when you've come up with an idea of what you would like your society to look like, and then you have to work out to get from where you are here to there, and you don't do that by how you think, you look at hard, solid evidence, of which there will be lots, because we have had many societies. And you can look in the history books, you can look at all the studies, and you can find out with evidence what works and take it there. And what works and what would work in this country is investment in social programmes. It works. It doesn't just work to make this a better place, a kinder, nicer, happier society for everybody to live in. It makes it a better place for people to perform economic growth. Now, I'm not a great believer in capitalism, I'm really not. However, the point being is that if you are a capitalist and you want that economic growth, then you have to invest. Stop taking money away from working people and giving it to your mate who happens to own a large barge to store refugees in, and put it into children, and you will reap your money back tenfold.